the doll couple who called a week or so ago, and they gave an update. And one of the things that happened was that someone figured out who he was and hung a doll in his office from a noose. Now, Steve was smart enough to keep the doll and move on fairly unflapped, but I dare the man or the woman who hung that doll in his office to call me tonight, because obviously he listens to this show, or she listens to this show. So let me hear from you.
Fair enough. 570-100.7. Star 100.7 is KFFB.
And we have a red alert. Before we go to DHEA, I'm going to take a call from, is it Steve or David?
I'm not sure. Are you there?
Yes.
David, and the reason we're taking this call out of sequence is because he had the guts to respond to my challenge. Let me give you a little recap. Remember the doll story, those of you who have been following along with it, but there's a young couple who are having arguments over how many dolls the man's allowed to sleep with. I mean, Cabbage Patch, Raggedy Ann, and so forth. And one of the repercussions to this call was that, and why don't you tell the story? Is your name David or Steve?
Dave.
Dave. Okay. Dave, what happened? What'd you do?
Well, basically, you know, I took a little doll and basically just sort of made a little noose out of some string, and I hung it in Steve's cubicle. But I just wanted to clear up the fact, you know, I didn't mean anything threatening by it. I just sort of wanted to, I guess, make a symbolic gesture that,
well,
maybe he really ought to kill out the whole doll scenario.
So your message was lose the dolls?
Basically, yeah.
But of course, I threw out the challenge after he told me what happened and that he found this doll hanging by the neck in his office.
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
But they did. And not only did you not get him to lose the dolls, but, dummy, you contributed to his collection. Do you know what he did?
Yeah,
he took it home.
Kept it.
And kept it because he didn't want some poor stray doll without a family. But what else was on your mind? I mean, don't you feel a little cruel?
No, I mean, I think if it had been something to scare him, I mean, I could have stuck a dart in its head and poured tomato sauce on it or something.
I think having a noose around its neck is good enough.
Well, he was just like a little string, you know.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate that you called in and explained yourself. And will he know who you are?
Yeah, actually, I spoke with him today.
What did you say?
I just told him that I was the one, and I didn't mean any harm by it, but not to tell him what to do. But I just thought that he was being in an unhealthy situation, and for him to expect Desiree to basically degrade herself and put on that doll costume when she has such a dislike for the whole doll thing anyhow, that...
You know what? You don't sound like such a bad guy after all. You sound like a well-meaning fellow who tried to send a message in exactly the wrong way. But did you apologize to him?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just just said I didn't mean to scare you. I mean, I've been working with Steve about probably around 6 months now. And he's a good guy, and he's well-liked around the office, and I enjoy his company. I used to think he was a little bit strange because he had a bunch of dolls sort of like suction cupped around his cubicles.
So he brings them to work?
Well, he's just got like a few little figurines, sort of like suctioned to the walls and whatnot. But I thought, whatever.
Well, listen, what is happening here is that eventually we're going to help Steve a lot because he needs lighter luggage. Carrying 19 dolls with him on trips has got to be a battle.
I've never traveled with him, so...
So he's listening, he's calling. Thank you for calling and giving your insights. And we'll just see what happens, okay?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I've been listening to your show, and I really enjoy it, and I have all the respect for you, but I just have to disagree with you on one point. When you suggested that she wear the outfit, it just seemed to me that it was sort of degrading to her. I mean,
that was putting her through too much?
Yeah, I mean, if he had been into, like sheep or anything. I mean, would she, have to wear like a sheepskin jacket?
No, of course not. But there's lots of different ways, if you'll excuse me, to skin a cat. And I disagree with you about trying to get a message across to him by hanging a dollop by the neck in his office as a surprise. So, again, we've got our different methods, and we'll see what happens, okay?
All right.
All right, thanks for the call.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Star.
Love Soup on Star 100.7, and not exactly what I expected out of Dave.
Well, that's why I asked him to
Nicer guy
call
than I
in, because,
Yeah.
but see, this is the thing about guys, and this is why they get into trouble with women all the time.
Okay,
because
what are you getting at?
what am I getting at? He's
It's male bashing
stiffening
again.
up and getting defensive and body posture already. But what I mean is they have good intentions and they do the stupidest things.
Okay,
They mean one thing and it comes across as another.
true. Many times.
Okay? I mean, even with Steve, who gave her the doll outfit. He thought she was going to love it.
Right.
But anyway, now we're going to move on to DHEA, and we have